my laptop. So I'm using my phone to just come on so we can finish this live. I don't know what's going on. I always have Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi just went dead. But my phone, I have, the cellular data, so I can use that. So anyway, I hope you guys are still here. I'm sorry that happened. Technical difficulties can always get in our way. So we were talking about the ego, and I was asking you guys to kind of weigh in about whether the ego itself gives you challenges. My hope is that you guys will be able to put your chat here. So yeah, I think all of Wi-Fi is down right now. So I'm kind of like curious about it, but it looks like we have two people who are here. So I'm really happy about that. My hope is that you guys will be able to put your questions in the chat. I'm on the phone, so I don't know how the chat is going to show up. But if you guys would put in a chat right now so we can test it, that would be awesome. Before, I was just wanting to talk about the ego because I find that sometimes is, especially on the not having enough confidence. Hello, Benito. I'm so glad you're here. I can see your comment crystal clear. So that is great, great news. So please feel free to ask any questions you might have, Benito. But yeah, I just feel that a lot of times there 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 is there can be hubris among traders, especially after a lot of wins. But what I find most traders struggle with the most is the opposite of the hubris, and that is not having enough confidence. All right, so there is Jess. Hey, Kim. Sorry I haven't DM'd you yet, but thank you for your live chat videos. I'm doing much better this week. I'm so glad to hear that, Jess. Congratulations. You come to realize that I need to decide if I'm trading to just be in the market or do I want to make money. Jess, that is so powerful. What a great self inquiry. And truly, Jess, I don't know of a trader out there who would not be served to ask themselves that question. I suspect even the most experienced, seasoned traders often aren't in a trade, aren't at their desk just because they're seeing their pattern. It's because they have to be in the market. Look, it is so consuming that when it isn't available to you guys, it can feel very confusing. It can feel very much like, what do I do with myself? This is my whole life. This is my everything, and now I'm not doing it. And that sense of like other, if you have anybody around you close to you that knows you're a trader and you yourself like aren't trading, they're going to be like, well, what the hell are you doing with your time? And you're just like, well, it's not an appropriate time to trade. I mean, look, people outside of this universe, they don't understand that. They can't comprehend that it actually is in your capital's best interest to not work. They can't comprehend that because in every other arena of life, not working appears lazy. Not working, not being on your computer looks like, you're just somebody who's, watching eating bonbons and watching soap operas, but that could be the best thing for your trading account is to eat bonbons and watch some soap operas. So Jess, I'm very proud of you, very impressed with you. I think that is just a profound gem. If anybody's on Twitter right now, or Jess, if you're on Twitter, I want you to take that little golden gem and I want you to tweet it out to the masses, because that question is a question every trader has to ask themselves. And if my damn Wi-Fi is working, I'll go in there myself. Benito saying, by the way, your earrings are tapping into the mic. Oh, that's so good. Thank you for telling me. Oh my God, I'm taking them right off. Good, 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 good. Thank you, Benito, for telling me. Uh, Especially me because I'm so expressive. I move my head all the time. All right, the earrings are off. So Jess, that is like the $1 million question, and that is what I think and that too. Let me say this: that too is the ego, right? Being in the market, the voice inside of your head that you have to be in the game, in the game, in the game. That is the ego, and this is what I don't want you guys to ever make the ego wrong. I don't want you guys to, you know, demonize that the ego side of yourself. Um, Even your inner gremlins, I don't want you to demonize them either. All of these are just part of being human. And what I want you guys to realize is that it's human to, if we go back to needs, right? It's human to want action. It's human to want to be participatory. It's human to be also, Jess, this is part of it, I think, too, in the community. These are your people. Like, if you're not with your people and you're taking some time out, like, there's times when people just get lonely and you can't talk to your peers, colleagues, or friends about the trading because they don't understand what the hell you're talking about. Where else can you get that camaraderie except in the market with other colleagues who are doing the same thing as you? I mean, this is a big part of why I started my Discord room, Trader Hero Journey. I started it because I wanted traders to have a place to commune, to come into community, but also to be able to have each other's back and to hold each other accountable and to also keep them from coming, doing, being able to be with that collective of people talking about what trading is like for them emotionally and otherwise, but also to be able to not necessarily feel like they have to go trade to get that community, kind of shot in the arm, right? It's like a little bit of a shot of adrenaline and juju to have your brothers and sisters who trade with you, in something, or you're in something with them. And that's something too that's come up a lot in the past. There are traders who have said to me that they took trades because colleagues that they were close to, or trading buddies, or trading friends, or trading partners, took a trade that they really didn't want to trade, but they were kind of feeling down and lonely and not like, they kind of just felt a little isolated. So by taking that trade, riding it out with that colleague or friend or partner, made them feel kind of like they weren't in it by themselves. All of that is the ego, not in a bad way. It's just human, but noticing it is going to potentially help you save your capital. So, Jess, well done. Well done. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions? Any other trading challenges that you guys have? Put them in the chat box. What I'm realizing is YouTube's phone package is similar to when I did these on Instagram. So the questions come up on the bottom for me and I can see them, no problem. Yeah, I'm just going to check to see if the computer came up yet, but I don't think it did. I think we totally lost Wi-Fi, guys, of all the days. Oh, maybe now it just came up. Okay, I think it just came up, but I'm going to just stay here because it's easier. But I'm looking now, Jess. I'm looking at Twitter. If you guys are enjoying this, please put it out on Twitter for us so I can get more people here. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so we can stay in touch. And when I'm doing these lives, you can come and check it out. But Jess, if you don't tweet it out, I'm going to tweet it out. That gem you came up with, that question of, do I really need to be trading, or am I just needing to be in the market? That is a question every day. Or you said, well, or to just be in the market, or do I want to make money? Right, exactly, right. If you want to make money, that means sometimes actually not to be in the market because your pattern's not showing up, or you're not in the right headspace, or the market is just acting sideways and it's not a market that you swim in well. Look, even the best of swimmers, even Shane Dorian, he's talked about this. He's a big wave surfer that lives here on the Big Island. I've become friends with Shane over the last couple of years. He's come on my podcast. He's helped me put a lot of co-interviews with me for Twitter Space and for YouTube. Uh, he's a big wave surfer and he's also a trader. He follows the Can Slim method by William O'Neill. And he talks too about the concept of like, if as a big wave surfer, as you can imagine, there's a lot at stake if anything is off. And he talked in one of my interviews with him about all this, he was chasing this really big wave that was going to be happening, I think, in Portugal. And he, bought the plane ticket, spent a lot of money on that. He got himself there. It's like, he had to move a lot of things around to make his trip to surf these big waves happen. And when he got there, after the money spent, the time, the effort, the energy, he noticed that he wasn't feeling 100%. He wasn't sure if it was jet lag. He wasn't sure if it was that he was coming down with something, but he could tell that his body was not 100%. And he knew, because the risk reward is too big for his taste buds. And since in big wave surfing, you're not just going to lose your capital, people, you're going to lose your life. He decided to not take the waves. He just had to say, nope, not this time. That is because of his self-awareness. That was his ability to look square in the eye that his own way of showing up was somehow compromised. He wasn't at 100%. And he knew, because he is so sophisticated at this and such a veteran of big wave surfing, he knew that if he wasn't 100%, he should not be out there. There's too much risk. And that too, guys, you have to ask yourself every single day, are you coming from a place that is because it meets your pattern, because it meets the criteria you have? And if there's any other motive at hand, it's going to cost you. And one of those motives could be, I have to make money for my family. I have to make money for myself. I have to have success as a trader much quicker than I'm currently having it. Well, I get all that. All of that may be true, but at the end of the day, that cannot be what's driving you. It's just going to cost you. It's not going to benefit you. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions or any other conversation topics specific to what you guys are going through? Please put them in the box so I can answer them. I, don't mind talking just out loud with you guys, but I'd rather work in response to things that you guys are dealing with. If you're willing to do it, just put it in the chat box. Also, let me just pause one more time and advocate that if any of you traders are interested, I'd love to have you be part of my small group for traders. We're calling it a fast track coaching. It's a 3-month experience. We're going to do one Zoom call a month for 90 minutes with a small group of only 10 traders and do some really fast hot seats to get you guys moving in the right direction as soon as possible. That is going to start early September. I'd love for you to be part of it. Send me either a DM in Twitter, or you can sign up on thewallstreetcoach.com and tell me you're interested in this small group coaching. All right, guys, what are your questions? I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. I hope there still are some. And I'm curious to what, if you guys have been at all connected to kind of just becoming more self-aware about your ego. I talked a little bit in that first part that I had to disconnect from, about how Eckhart Tolle really did a lot of work for me with his book, The Power of Now, and his other book is called A New Earth. And in A New Earth, he talks at length about how the ego can so many times invisibly drive us. And what I would love for you guys to consider is, how can you become in tune to your own ego? How can you become in tune to what you feel, even if it's just a handful of times a day? The more connected you guys are to yourself, your ability to recognize either an inner gremlin or an inner saboteur exponentially increases. If you guys are not in tune to yourself, then you're potentially going to be driven by invisible stories, invisible beliefs about yourself, invisible kind of expectations that you may not even be aware you bring into every encounter with the market and or with people. I've said this quote a couple of times, but it always bears worth repeating. We seek the teeth that match our wounds. That is the heart of it for all of us. What does that mean? It means that when we have kind of certain holes in us, we will strive to fill those holes. And sometimes how we do that is in costly ways. Part of what the journey of self awareness creates is a willingness to not judge those holes within us, not even to so much go into the repetition of what caused us even those holes. But what begins to happen is you can start to extend empathy and compassion to yourself for those holes. That is step one. After you do that, then you can start to step into a place of healing those holes. The key is that those holes ultimately are invisibly driving your choices. And that is what makes those choices even more costly. All right, Benito, I see your question here. Been working on giving myself permission to have my own conviction in a trade. Being surrounded by so many pro traders, I was unaware of the lack of confidence in my trades. They didn't take or see. That is huge, Benito. And I bet you 10 to 1, anybody that is in a trading community struggles with that themselves. I think trading communities are fabulous. I think having pros there, especially for traders that are new, is it's a non-negotiable. Every trader is served by that. However, even things that are completely positive, there is always going to be some sort of opposite side to it, right? The light and the dark. And the dark side is absolutely what you speak to here. That is so profound. It's so easy to think, oh, well, they know best. But ultimately, that pro isn't going to be with you 24/7. The comfort and confidence in recognizing with your own eyes is going to be profound. And so, for you, giving yourself permission, I love the word you're using, to have that conviction is huge. Because remember, the way you're going to set up your pattern is going to possibly, even if you're following a master trader's formula, you're going to have to kind of make that formula your own. Your own risk tolerance is going to be different, possibly, than that expert, right? Your capital size is going to be potentially different than that expert. So it has to be sculpted and crafted to you specifically. So that is just so powerful. And I really hear, guys, I'm not dismissing the trading experts, gurus that you guys are in communities with. I think it's fantastic. And I know all of them will be the first to agree with me that they all want you to get comfortable trading on your own. They are there in the beginning, almost like training wheels. They are there to get you starting to feel comfortable riding that bike that's completely different than any bike you have ever ridden before. But what is a parent who puts a kid on a bike with training wheels uh, ultimately want for their kid? They want that kid to get those training wheels off and to go flying off by themselves in the neighborhood. That is what I have no doubt all the authentic good uh, with integrity trading gurus want. I know, Benito, that is what Adriana wants in the amazing True Trader Room. I know that's what Ricky Analog wants in the True Trade Room. I know that's what Nate wants in Investors Underground. I know that's what Turbo Sam wants in the Investors Underground room. These rooms are filled with these incredible traders who want you guys to go and ride your bike by yourself without those training wheels on, taking all they've taught you with them. But you have to get the confidence. And you heard, look, who's going to become an Adriano? There's going to be like 0.1% of the population that might have his brilliance and capability. Nate, the same thing, right? You don't need to be them guys to make money. You can be just Benito and make money, because Benito, you've been listening and following and learning for years. Dude, you got what it takes. All right. Yes, fully sitting into my own site granted me so much more clarity in the trade thesis too. Excellent. Not surprised. So proud of you. Again, damn it, guys, you have the best questions between Jess's piece of 24 karat gold 5 minutes ago and yours, Benito. Like, I'm telling you, you guys have all the answers inside of yourself. You really do. And this is what I say to all my clients when I start to work with them. And I have clients all the time when they come to coaching, they're like, yeah, Kim, I want you to fix me. Yeah, Kim, I'm broken. La, la, la. And I'm like, let's get that language tossed out right from the get-go. Everybody here in this room right now, and that's going to listen to this afterwards, is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. Everything each of us does is the best with all that we have gone through. Does it mean it's the best ideal we could ever be? No, but it's the best thus far. It's the best with what we have had up until this moment. And in this moment, wherever that moment happens for you, is the moment where you have your aha, where you go, wow, maybe that way of showing up is costing me in a way I no longer want to pay. So if that's the case, then here's what I want you to do. Say, okay, thank you for showing up and surviving all that's gotten me here, all these behaviors, all these kind of like, potentially quirky ways I show up. You got me to this point in my life. You got me to today, August 23rd, 2023. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know that I would have survived. But now, if I want to go forward, I may not want to pay the same price. I may want to take a look at all the stories that I have not looked at before and maybe investigate. Are those the best stories? Are those stories that serve me? Are there behaviors or responses that I could perhaps juggle and make respond in another way? And maybe it's less costly that way. You just don't know until you start to become self-aware. And ultimately, if you see yourself as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, I think what happens is you begin to live into it. And that's the power of coaching. If I am going to advocate coaching at all, I remember the first coach that I worked with, she really received me that way. She received me as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And because of that, I lived into it in a whole new way. It empowered me. It put wind under my wings. And I think I've shared that story with you guys about the encounter. I had a decision I had to make. I had a good girlfriend at the time. She was worried about me, and I almost canceled this trip. She's like, I don't know you're going to handle the disappointment of what's going to happen. What if that happens? And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I might need to not go on this trip. And then that same day, I had my coaching session, and I went to my coach, and I was like, I don't know. I may not build this trip. There might be a lot of disappointment if this XYZ thing happens. And she just looked at me, and she was like, so? And I was like, clearly she doesn't understand this big thing I was like, but this could happen and that could happen. Like, I tried to paint the dramatic story to her, and she was just like, so? And I was like, don't you get it? Like, that shit could go down. And she was like, and it'll be uncomfortable. You'll be upset. I think it'll be unpleasant, but I bet you in like a day, you'll be over it. And I was like, she's totally right. I, it won't be fun, but it won't kill me. I have been through so much worse than that if that goes down. And in that moment, I realized, oh God, that worst case scenario could happen, but it's not going to kill me. And that's what I want you guys to see. So many times we have these inner saboteurs, these inner gremlins that start to tell us, like, oh, don't let this happen to you. Oh, if this happens, it's gonna like it's got a whole big story. And we're like, oh my God, I can't deal with that. Bullshit, you can't. You have dealt with so much worse than that in the past that I want you to see you have what it takes. You wouldn't be here if you weren't strong. You wouldn't be here if you haven't already gone to hell and back, I don't know, 100 times over. If you're still standing today, guys, that means you're strong enough to deal with whatever shit's ahead. So don't be wimpy. Don't be somebody who lets your ego tell you you aren't enough of this, that, or the other thing. I don't want you to take unreasonable risk. I don't want you to just pull the trigger willy-nilly to just take action. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to stay still. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to actually just be and not do and not take action. Whatever is more difficult for you is probably what you're being called to do. Whatever is harder for you, that's going to trigger you, that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, that's probably where you need to grow, where you need to stretch. The same with me. Yesterday, I had a conversation with one of the coaches that I have, and he gave me a really hard time, and he gave me some homework that I did not want to do. And I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable. And I did it anyway. And guess what? I'm stronger for it. And he was right. And I need to do more of what he advocated to me. But because I'm somebody that doesn't like, who's asking some clients of mine for testimonials, and I don't ever want to have to ask anybody for anything. I don't like to ask for help. I like to do everything myself. So he gave me a really hard time. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. I really don't want to do this. It makes you feel vulnerable and comfortable. And maybe people won't want to do it. I don't want to infringe on their time. So is it really a hilarious moment? So trust me, guys, like everything that I'm advocating to you guys, everything that I am trying to encourage you guys to do, like I am always striving to do these things too. I don't have it all figured out. I'm figuring it out just like you all. And all I do is keep leaning into my 5 practices to help me. So what I had to do yesterday is I had to sit for a few minutes before I sent these emails and be with the discomfort that I was feeling in my body, be with what was coming up with for me at the idea of going out of my comfort zone. I had to serve that discomfort myself yesterday. And still, because I have more people that I still have to email. So I'm not finished with it. But the difference is because I've been in this work of personal development. I mean, yeah, 17 years I've been a coach, guys. But my personal development began way before that. My journey as a coach started 17 years ago, but my journey in self-development started when I was 10 years old. That's when I asked for my first therapist. I was like 10, 11 years old when I said, I think I need to get somebody to give me some tools to navigate the journey and family I was in. And I got one. And that personal journey has been ongoing for me. I don't know anybody who isn't served by doing that kind of self-reflection. I think it's really hard for us to coach ourselves. It's really hard for ourselves to counsel ourselves. We can do it, but I think it's very powerful to have somebody outside of us, a trusted, neutral person to help call the best part of ourselves forth. So on that note, it's almost time. I haven't gotten any questions for a while. I'm just double checking my phone. Yep, no questions since Benito or statements. If you guys want to put them in the chat box, please do. If you guys like these, please let me know so I can do more of them. I am, again, putting together this small group. Most of you guys in this room has heard this. It's going to be a small, intimate group of 10 traders. It's going to be limited to just 3 months. We're going to do one 90-minute session for 3 months in a row. And if you're interested, send me a DM on Twitter or reach out to thewallstreetcoach.com, fill out our, wants to work with Kim, wants to work with us, and put that in the note field that you're interested in the small group coaching. All right, guys, if I don't get enough questions, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm so glad you guys stuck around. In spite of me losing internet, that never happens. It's the first time in honestly 2 years that I lost internet at my office. So any questions, any thoughts? If not, I'll wrap this up. I think what I'm going to do is try to make this happen every Wednesday. But as I said, next Tuesday is my birthday, so I'm not sure if I'll get to it next Wednesday, but I'll try. Any last parting questions or thoughts? Yes, these are great. Thank you. Good, Tina. I'm so glad you dig them. Thank you for being here, Tina. I'm glad you're here. Anybody else before we shut her down? I can't believe it's only Wednesday. Doesn't it feel like it should be Thursday or Friday? Guys, this is such a busy week. I can't believe it's only just a couple days. We still have 2 days left. It was a long week for me. All right, I don't see any other statements, so I'll close it down there, guys. Such an honor to work with you guys. Thank you for your amazing comments, questions, journey. You guys are all just incredibly brave. I want you to all be profitable, and I want you to stay safe out there. Oh, Tina, that's so nice of you to say. You make a difference too by being here. Everybody who comes to these contributes to this community. The questions you guys ask, let me tell you, you all ask a question, and that question, there's 5,000 other people who didn't ask that question and feel the same way. Everybody in this community is struggling with the same things. It's just in a different kind of description. It's just a different color, maybe a different feel to it, but it's still, the question is the same. So every time you guys ask a question, put your comments here, you guys are contributing to the big community as well. So good job, you. Good job, all of you. And to even come here into YouTube and to ask questions, that takes guts too, guys. So I'm so proud of all of you. You're all very courageous, and really it's my honor and pleasure to be just a small contribution in the way I can to all of you. All right. Mwah. A hui ho is what we say in Hawaii. That means until we meet again. Aloha for now, everybody.